Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to the vlog. This is Car Connections. Make sure you subscribe. Talk a little bit about car addictions and the things you have to have in place. Today I just want to talk about my car addictions, and I want to talk about, I've gone through a lot of cars, guys. I've gone through probably around 60 cars in the last 10 to 15 years. That's not normal. I'm very aware of that. Most people will go through 2, maybe 4 cars in the same period. And I want to talk about probably things that you have to have in place to have this. This is not financial advice, by the way, what I'm about to share, but you have to have a certain perspective and you have to have some knowledge around your finances before you're able to do the things I do. The reality is that when you put yourself out on YouTube, people want to spend your money for some reason. It's always been that way. And so they automatically cannot fathom spending, say $1,500, $1,000, $800, $700 on a car payment. Totally get it. And so again, people automatically place their finances upon, YouTube bloggers that own cars, and it just doesn't cross their mind. One of it could be also their financial stability. They could probably be a little bit different than most folks are in how they manage money, right? So they look at the value of the money very different. Let me make just one thing very clear is that when you're buying a car, guys, it's not the smartest thing to do financially, right? That is a very real statement, right? This to me is a hobby, and I know I'm blessed. I'm not naive to be self-aware that I'm blessed to be able to buy these cars and go through cars every 6 months to a year. I understand that it's not the most financially sound approach, no doubt about it. Not naive to that. There's better ways to spend your money, right? Remember, cars are a depreciating asset. I don't even know I would consider a car an asset. An asset to me is something that actually gains value over time, and cars tend to depreciate over time. And so your money is basically going into a deep black hole. So that's a fair statement. But again, people are wanting to spend their money like it's your money being spent on the cars. And so they place themselves under this view that everybody manages their money the same and that everybody has the same type of resources, which is not true. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I get a lot of comments, guys. I would never spend money like that. Who does that? Do you have issues? Why do you do that? What is wrong with you? You have other issues. You have confidence issues. Who would ever make a decision like that? Who would ever have a car payment like that? Why do you continue to go cars, dude? Are you okay? I get that. I get that a lot. And in order for me to have the ability to do these things, I want you guys to understand that I have some fundamentals and some basics behind the scenes to be able to do these things. I think the first thing before anybody has a car addiction as an addiction, because it's a very expensive addiction for sure, is you gotta have your basic fundamentals of financial literacy in place, right? You have to. If not, you're gonna burn through all your money. And again, as I shared earlier, cars don't appreciate, they depreciate. Now, there are some rare instances where I've been lucky and I've bought in some cars where they have actually appreciated and I've made money. But on most cars, guys, that I buy and sell, I try to be very smart in how I buy them. That way, when I do lose out after 6, 9 months, it's not a bloodbath of $10, $12, $15,000 like we're seeing right now. You see a lot of people in some very negative equity. Part of it is people just don't know how to buy cars. And they get caught up in the talking points of the salesmen. It's like, this is a rare vehicle. Nobody's going to have them. We're going to sell out. We have a lot of people. It's all, if you learn the game early, and I got my ass kicked early for sure. Remember, I bought a lot of cars. You're bound to get your ass kicked several times before you figure, okay, I get it, right? You got to almost lick your wounds and figure it out. And then you start to do a lot of research on how to become better at buying cars. Let's talk about the financials of being able to do this. And what I highly recommend, and again, this is not financial advice. One, regardless of your financial circumstance, you should have some fundamental things in place financially. Number one, you guys have heard it from a lot of people, and this is true. You should always have an emergency fund. 3 months at a minimum. And if you can, as you continue to build your career, you should even have even more. The more, the better, right? Because you never know. You just never know. Things are never guaranteed. That's just the way things work. The other thing is, before you start paying everybody else the money you get for debts, homes, cars, or whatever, you should pay yourself first. It's a very well-known trick, again, and this is not a new philosophy. This is not me thinking of new ideas or concepts, but there are basic fundamental things that you should be doing financially. If you have a 401k in your work, you should match it, whatever the match of percent is that your company does, 3 to 4%. If you're financially better, you should max out your 401k, as there can be some tax benefits towards that. Again, this is not financial advice. So I just shared, there should be some things in place from a savings perspective of 3 months, if not greater, depending on your financial well-being. You should be matching or maxing out your 401k where at all possible. And then on top of that, you should also have Roths in place, traditional or non-traditional Roths, so that you should max those out. And I think right now it's $7,000 a year, and every year they can go up or down, I think, depending on how things are going. I'm not too sure. All I know is I've been maxing those out for a very long time, and I also have one for my wife. The other thing I do is I have 529s for my kids, and my hope is that I have enough for both of them, and right now that's what should happen, as there's been a lot of work behind the scenes over the last 10, 15 years to make sure that both my kids that live in my house, because I have 3 kids, have a full ride for college. And that's savings as well, right? That's money that's been being kept for a long time so that my kids are well off. I didn't get a chance to do that with my first one. I didn't have the financial backbone or wisdom that I have now to allow me to prepare for all this stuff, right? So very important. I can tell you that today, from my total income, and this is between me and my wife, and I won't go into the details of my income, but I will share that our savings between 401ks, 529s, Roths, traditionals, even traditional brokerage accounts, because I also do that, it's probably 48% to maybe 45% of our entire, not gross, but net cash is injected to those accounts. And our hope is that we will continue to do that over the next 15, 20 years. And that by the age of 55, if not sooner, both my wife and I can choose to retire or continue to work. I don't see myself retiring because I'm very passionate about the things I do. I love what I do. And so I don't see myself doing that. However, I will love to have that choice. I will love to know that I'm I have financial stability for me and my wife and my kids should something happen to me or my wife, that everybody's well taken care of. Why do I say all this stuff? I do have a car addiction, but at the same time, I'm sharing this with you because you have to have fundamental financial things in the back that you're doing in order to do these things. Don't be that person that buys these things, but yet you don't have your house in order. You need to get your house in order. You just have to do it, guys. If not, that's a naive thing to do. I've been blessed enough and I bust my ass enough that I can do this. I always like this iceberg analogy that I see online. People only see the tip, but they don't see the bottom of the iceberg. And I've been doing what I've been doing, guys, for almost 25 years. I've sacrificed a lot. I've worked night shift. I pretty much wasn't around for my first kid because I was so busy. And even my second kid, I traveled a lot. I sacrificed. I worked weekends. I worked long hours. Stressful times, guys. Stressful times to the point early on, I remember when we were so broke, we had to choose between medication or food. I know what that's like. I've been there. Okay? Just know that. However, people don't see that. People see a person on YouTube and they see you driving all these cars and they make these assumptions. And again, they start trying to spend your money like it's their money. unbeknownst to know, they don't know anything about the history and the ass kickings you've done to get to where you've been. I didn't grow up in a silver spoon, guys. My parents were extremely poor. And I actually remember being a kid around 7 years old, waiting at the local library in the hood for a block of cheese, a gallon of milk, and eggs. So don't ever judge a book by its cover, because that's just the reality. You don't know the sacrifice and the ass kicking a person does to get to these points in life. Know that it's not easy. They make it look very easy on the vlogs and the YouTubes, but they don't tell you the whole background to get to this level. So yes, I have a car addiction. I'm trying to get better. I am self-aware of my addiction. And I just want to share this little background because, again, people make assumptions. And I think it's important for my younger audience to understand that it just takes a lot of hard work and dedication, commitment, and sacrifice to get to these things. Some young people don't have to do that. We all know that, right? They're extremely sharp and bright. They get to open up their own company early on, and they're extremely successful early. Very true. Know that that's not the norm. That is a rarity. And most young people watching my vlog need to know that that is a rarity. That's typically the way it doesn't work. You have these Bitcoin millionaires. Hey, good for them. Love it, right? But the reality I'm going to tell you is most people become wealthy over time and having a good financial background around the fundamentals of money. And I'm self-taught, guys. I've invested in myself. This hasn't been taught by anybody to me. I've invested in myself to learn these fundamentals, and I just kept chipping away. So if I could do it, you can do it. And again, do I have a car addiction? Going back to that, I do. And can I afford it? I can. Is it impacting me and my wife's and my family's lifestyle? No. If it ever did, I would make sure that wouldn't happen, and I would make sure these cars would not exist. That's the reality. But the reality is, I think I do more than the average American when it comes to saving and having a really good backbone should things happen. And you should probably do the same thing. You should not buy cars if you do not have a really good solid ground to do that. Those are very bad ideas, guys. All right, I don't want to be repetitive. And it is my first vlog I dropped in almost 2 months. It's the first one this year. As always, go ahead, guys. I appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this, make sure you share the vlog. And let's see when I post something else in the future. Appreciate it, guys. Peace.